It is Thursday, 30 June 2022. Yesterday I did a brickmark in Afrikaans about Orania, and there was a lot of responses, and the thread on Twitter that originally triggered the brickmark exploded during the day. Last night I read through it and I realized that there is a lot of talk about Orania, and I have a following that is English speaking, so I decided to do this thing in English today. Now, for those that don't know, Orania is a small enclave in the center of our country, and it's situated on private property. The key is it is private property. The community of Orania originated around about in the 90s, and the advent of the so-called democratic South Africa propelled Orania onto the foreground. What happened there is that a group of people bought some land on the banks of the Orange River, just below the P.K. Leroux Dam. And on that property was the old Water Affairs work camp that was used when the dam was constructed. Over the years they have expanded the place and they have acquired more property there. But the main thing is this: the population of Orania is Afrikaans speaking, and they follow and promote the Afrikaans or the Afrikaner culture. So in a sense it is almost something like the Mormons in America. The people there are peaceful people. They're not making war. They don't talk war. They just live their lives according to their culture and their standards and their beliefs. But the media is forever painting Orania with as much dirty brushes as they can find. There's always an agenda that they drive. Now, what is absolutely amazing is that Orania is sitting there in the center of the country. It is dry and it is a harsh country where they are, but they are making a living there, and they don't disturb their neighbors. They don't go into the neighboring towns and burn the places down and riot and loot. They don't do that. They are focused on their own environment, and they expend their own money and energy in bettering that environment. Now, if you look at media reports, they are always dragging the factor of apartheid into it. And they're making a big story of the fact that Orania is exclusively for white Afrikaners. But if you just zoom out on the picture, the country around Orania, stretching from the Limpopo River right down to the Cape, is absolutely covered in millions of black communities, pure black communities. Places where no white people is living there, no white people want to live there, it is only blacks. And what I could never understand is that nowhere in South Africa a black person has had the vision to take his immediate community and uplift them. Self-determination is a drive that is basically in every person. But I don't see the expression in the black people. And to me, in my mind, what Orania is doing is Orania is holding up the mirror for South Africa to look in and see what they have become. And I find it absolutely infuriating when I listen to some reporters reporting about Orania, and when I read some of the published material on social media about Orania. On the social media, most of the comments are comments of uninformed people. People that don't have a clue what is really going on there. And if you look at the media, then you must see that there is an agenda. Orania is showing South Africa what Afrikaner culture is and what Afrikaners are all about. And they have got a successful community there, not a rich community. Because you must understand that from government side, Orania gets zero support. Zero. Although all those people that are staying there are taxpayers, they get no support from government or from the local government there. And that didn't stop. They are focused on preserving their culture and they are focused on bettering their environment. I have many times thought about it, and all it will take is one or two investors with a vision that set up something in Orania, say like a specialist hospital operation, where specific operations are done for a specific exclusive part of the population. And we are all aware of the advantages of what they call medical tourism and so forth. But that could be a good thing. Another thing is that the school in Orania is very successful. They are not following the national curriculum and they are focused on actually giving those children all the tools needed to become successful in life. Now this is some background, and I know that I've said some things that are going to stir up some emotions in some people, but as I've said previously, I don't really care what people call me, because I know that there are people that are going to call me a racist because of this video blog. But I don't care. My dad taught me, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never. The fact is, reality must be faced. And the reality that South Africa is seeing when they look at Orania is to them very disturbing. Because if they look around themselves from where they are, and they see the mess what they are in, they cannot live with it, and they don't want to accept the fact that they themselves play a big role in their own environment. Let me focus on the tweets. The tweet that triggered my original post yesterday in Afrikaans was this one. Orania is a town in South Africa, but they have their president, currency, army and flag. Only two languages, Afrikaans and a little bit of English. They live by their own rules and not anyone can stay there. No outsiders are permitted to work there unless you have skills they don't have. Now in this tweet there's a few things that I'm not completely agreeing with the guy. The first thing, they're talking about the president. I wouldn't call it the president. It's nothing different than a mayor. Then they talk about their currency, which is true, and that currency is used in a closed loop, and there are good practical reasons why they did it. And then he mentioned that they've got their own army, and that is bullshit. There is no such thing. They don't have their own army. Yes, they are responsible for their own security, but they don't have an army. Then someone responded to that tweet and said, everything is clean and works. Everyone works. Having your own currency means you can be taxed on how much you earn. You can't be taxed on how much you earn. Clever. If you think the flag that represents South Africa is making it a better place, you are a box. In Afrikaans, we all know what a box is. If South Africa worked to their standards, it will be sorted. There's just one thing in here that this guy is saying, and that is about the currency. I think he's missing the point about the currency. That's not really an opportunity to evade tax, because their currency is a ora, and it is on par with the South African rand. And they have, I think at the post office, they exchange rands for oras, and the oras is used in the Orania community, and in the end, the business people that accept oras can exchange those oras back to rands. So it goes into the Rand environment at the end. It starts in the Rand environment and goes into Rand environment. So there's not really room for tax evasion. And then this one guy made just a simple observation. A lot of white South Africans today weren't even alive during the rule of apartheid. And yet with BEE laws still in place nearly 30 years after the ANC took power, they are being made to pay for it. And this is also one of the things that has made Orania controversial some stages. Because they do not acknowledge the BEE principles, and that is something that many politicians are using to bite Orania. But then late last night, I went back to the thread and I saw this post there. They don't rob, hijack, sell drugs, steal cable, kidnap, steal young girls, brothels. Their presence there has no negative impact on us. Orania is safer than Joburg. Leave those people alone. They are there peacefully. We have a problem of people who found creative ways into our cities. Now, what this guy say is important, and specifically important is this sentence. Their presence there has no negative impact on us. And then there was this one. It is private property, and like all private property in South Africa, they have a right to admission. Something you wouldn't know, because ZANU-PF can invade and take your property at any time without recourse. Well, there was a hell of a lot more tweets on that topic there, and I'm not going to copy them into this. I just need to make it clear. Orania is being attacked by people, and those attacks are really unfounded. The people of Orania does not present a threat to their neighbors, because they are focused on themselves and on their own environment. In this image you can see this is a gathering at the school. Incidentally, that school is bursting out of its seams, but they don't have access to the national budget to just expand the school as needed. This image gives you an indication of where Orania is positioned in South Africa. Then we have this image. In this image, it is obvious that the town has been developed, the streets are clean, and look at all those trees. You must understand, those trees are impressive because that is a very, very dry, desolate piece of South Africa. And what you are seeing there has been planted by the people of Orania. In this image is just an image of one of their cultural events, and I think it's quite impressive that they are preserving the Afrikaner culture. Now this image is of the expansion to their needs for housing, but it's important to note all of the money that is needed for this came out of their own resources. No government subsidies or anything like that, and all the labor that is used on that project are labor from the people of Orania. And then you compare it to this. This is what it looked like in the rest of South Africa. And the people that live in these environments, they are the people that has a lot to say about Orania. But look at this environment. It is dirty and it is unorganized, and there's no reason for that. But the fact of the matter is, there was no community leadership. Nobody that is taking responsibility of creating order in that community. No, it's just a heap of houses thrown together, and look at the rubbish, the trash. You don't see things like that in Orania. You look at this picture. It also tells a story. These people, they get support from local government and from national government. But look at their environment, look at their village. This is how they live. But they have a lot to say about Orania, and the media is never taking an objective view of what is actually happening in Orania. And then finally, look at this. This is how the people in other communities handle their grievances. They will complain about a lot of things, and in that complaining process, they destroy what is there, destructive. I'm going to step off this now. Orania is no threat to South Africa. It is no threat to their neighbors, and they are doing the things there that they want to see around them. I'm saying it again. Orania is holding up the mirror for South Africa to see how South Africa has failed.